What is up, my friends? It is Tuesday night and you are all very welcome along to the Late Night Agenda. A little bit of an unusual show title tonight because, well, quite frankly, it's been an unusual day. Lots and lots to go through over the course of the next 90 minutes or 2 hours. I want to know your thoughts on the Manchester City situation. I'm going to try my best to explain it and break it down for everybody without getting myself into legal trouble tonight. We'll go through what the newspapers have been writing. It all stems from a Times article today, and the title of tonight's stream is "Have Manchester City Lost Their Minds?" Because it feels like they have. And I'm going to explain it all over the next couple of hours. Most importantly, though, I hope that you're all well. I did see some of the comments beforehand. A couple of people doing their mocks and their exams. I hope that you're all prepared and ready, and I hope they all go well for you. I also seen somebody else say, last show, are you quitting? No, I meant it means last live shows, last performances, mate. Channel's going nowhere. We're all good on that front. But the Liverpool and Belfast, no, Liverpool and Cardiff shows are going to be the two last stage shows that Anfield Agenda does. That's what we meant on the wording. So don't worry about that one. We're not going anywhere as a channel. Craig, give me your blessings for tomorrow's exam. Julian, I wish you all the best. Anyone that's sitting exams over this summer period, I wish you nothing but success. I hope you've all prepared. I'm sure you have, and I'm sure you've knocked it out of the park as well. So, where to begin with this one, my friends, because it is a crazy day. Manchester FC biting the hand that feeds them. If they get away with the fudging of the books and what they have done by enhancing sponsorship deals, I'm done with football. It can rot in hell, said Sean McMahon. Quick one to start us off there tonight, Sean. So look, where to start? We do have some Liverpool stories to go through, and I will go through them as well tonight. But the big question that I think a lot of us are asking is, what on earth is going on with Arne Slot? Still no content. I was even reading the Echo earlier on, and they were kind of posing the same question as we don't know when we'll get the press conference, but he did start work officially on Saturday, and it just feels a little bit strange to me that we've not yet seen anything. But, you know, I think we're all just eager to hear Arne Slot speaking about being the new Liverpool head coach, what it means to him to be at the club, and all the other stuff that you look forward to when you've got these type of press conferences. So, fingers crossed we hear something on that one soon. What else have we got? City going down. La 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 la. I can sing along to that all day, Justin, my man. Going down. La 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 la. Anybody seen Manchester City's marbles? Was the question that Mark asked. First super chat of the night, Mark. Thank you very much. I have not seen their marbles, sir, but I'm wondering where they've gone. Right, so let's go through this story in as best as we can and explain it all to you as best as we can. Earlier on today, the Times, so a very, very prominent newspaper, wrote an article, and that article laid out a couple of things for us. One, it let us know when Manchester City's hearing for the 115 charges is going to take place. That is a topic that a lot of us have wanted to know about for quite a while, and it's going to be November. So that's the first thing that we took from this argument. Manchester City's hearing for those 115 charges. Sorry, what was that? How many charges? 115. 111? No, 115 charges. That's going to be November. So we now know that. If they're so innocent, why are they doing this? Said Corbyn 2003. And thank you for your super chat, my friend. Look, let's go through some of the Times article, and then we'll see how you guys feel at the end of it. So I've taken a couple of subsets out of the argument, a couple of little samples. I'm going to read them out to you and give you a kind of flavour of where we're at. So the first piece that I'm going to read out to you said, City argue that sponsors linked to club owners in cities or in Abu Dhabi, that they should be allowed to determine how much they want to pay for sponsorship, regardless of any independent valuation. So, 4 of City's top 10 sponsors have ties to the United Arab Emirates, including their stadium and shirt sponsor Etihad Airways. Newcastle, which is a majority owned by Saudi Public Investment Fund, have a shirt sponsorship deal with Sela, a Saudi sports rights company. Chelsea have a shirt sponsorship deal with Infinite Athletic, a leisure company which counts the joint Chelsea owner Todd Bowley and Begdad Egbali among the investors. While the Times knows of at least one club that has submitted a witness statement in support of Manchester City's actions, next week's arbitration hearing, sources believe that more than half of the Premier League clubs have already sided with the Premier League. So, to summarise all of this as quickly as I can, Manchester City have sent a 165-page legal document that claims they're the victim of discrimination against Gulf ownership and that the associated party transaction rules were approved by rivals to stop their domination of the Premier League. This last line is the pick of the bunch for me. That they say that there is a tyranny of the majority. And what they mean by that is 14 Premier League clubs of the 20 have to vote through any rule changes. So what they're calling the tyranny of the majority, I would call a democratic process. If 14 Premier League clubs vote on something, it gets passed. If they don't, it doesn't. It's the first time in my life I've ever heard somebody have the cheek to use the phrase tyranny of the majority. Another thing that really pisses me off here is again playing the race card. Discrimination against Gulf ownership. The rules were in place. Everybody that joins the Premier League signs up to the rules. The Premier League is not a government entity, it's a private league. And Manchester City are going the full Lance Armstrong here, in my opinion. Anybody that says anything, just throw loads of stuff at them. And with the Premier League, it gets more complicated. So City are suing the Premier League for damages while arguing that the league's democratic system of requiring at least 14 clubs or 2/3 of those who vote to implement rule changes gives the majority an unacceptable level of control. They accuse rival clubs of discrimination against Gulf ownership, citing the comments of one particular senior club executive. Millions are being spent on legal fees to fight the case. One senior source in the Premier League said that the Premier League's legal bill has more than quadrupled in the past year, from about 5 million to north of £20 million. They also point to the fact that since February, when these charges were laid at the Premier League, or when this lawsuit was put to the Premier League, since February, the Premier League's own legal department has been forced to shift their focus to this claim, this current claim from Manchester City, away from trying to prove the 115 charges. Let me read that again. They also point to the fact that since February, when these charges were put to the Premier League's legal department has been forced to shift its focus to this claim, and it's trying to prepare for the 115 charges. This is clearly a tactic, according to this source. City have certainly spared no expense in their potential groundbreaking legal fight. They have appointed 3 King's Counsels with Lord Panic, supported by Paul Harris and Rob Williams. A 4th senior barrister who specialises in competition and regulatory law, David Gregory, is also on Manchester City's team. In their claim, Manchester City argue that the current rules will limit their ability to buy the best players and force them to charge fans more for tickets. Now let me read that again, because this is a very important line. In Manchester City's claim, they say that the current rules will limit their ability to buy the best players and force them to charge more for tickets. That's the rules, fellas. That's the rules. You spend what you bring in. You can't just use your nation's wealth to go and buy whoever you want. They say they may also have to cut spending on youth development, women's football and community programmes. Oh, diddums. You mean you might have to do what everybody else has to do? Like cut your cloth accordingly with the financials? Premier League clubs have a scheduled meeting in Harrogate on Thursday, and Manchester City didn't respond to the Times article when asked for a response. It is, again, an absolute joke. It's a joke, the whole lot of it. It's just basically trying to overload, in my opinion, the Premier League and throwing loads more legal stuff at them, because they have unlimited resources at Manchester City and they're just trying to distract and point over there. This, to me, is the Lance Armstrong defence. If you're suing the Premier League next season, don't play in it. Exactly. They're suing the hand that feeds them. They've just won 4 Premier League titles in a row and they're suing the Premier League. Now look at how petty that last line was. That City are moaning because the current rules, the word there being rules, means that they will have an inability to buy the best players in the world and force them to charge more for tickets. Does anybody feel sorry for Manchester City? No, not even a little bit. It's an absolute disgrace. And the more this goes on, the more angry the footballing fans are getting. I spent some time reading through some of the comments from the earlier video today, and it seems like this is one of those few occasions where football fans, regardless of club allegiances, have come together to all say enough is enough. They are acting like spoiled, petulant little brats, in my opinion, and in the opinion of many others. It is a joke, and the sooner the better that we get this all dealt with, and hopefully Manchester City have the book thrown at them if they're found guilty. You know, usually in any case, be it a court case, a hearing, an investigation, anything, if somebody comes forward and helps the investigation and opens up the books and, you know, plays and helps you with the investigation, you would say to them, okay, then maybe we'll have some sympathy, maybe we'll show some leniency. In this process, Manchester City have always, in my opinion, just stuck two fingers up to everybody and basically thought with their own arrogance that they could do what they want and get away with it. Well, sorry, rules are rules. And if Manchester City are found guilty, I hope that the maximum punishment potentially available to the Premier League happens. Whatever that might be, because I'm sick of them. Craig, I have to correct you. They didn't win the last 4 titles. I think you'll find that they did. Mate, they've just first team to ever do 4 in a row. So I think you'll find, Colin, that they did win the last 4 in a row. Well, you're saying they bought them, perhaps. Fair enough. I'll give you that one, mate. Premier League will sink just like Serie A and Italy did in the 90s if they get away with this. Carrying on. Shame, shame, shame. So, look, to start tonight, Ben, can we get a poll up to saying, do you think this is a good move by Manchester City? So if you're watching in the background, Ben, lash up a poll saying, is this lawsuit a good move by Manchester City? Because I think it's the height of stupidity, personally. They are literally holding the smoking gun, said Chris Davies. If City finds a way to crawl away from this, would you say the Premier League is corrupt? I wouldn't use the word corrupt, no. I would say that the integrity of the Premier League would come into focus, because this league isn't just about Manchester City. It's about the other 19 clubs as well. And those other 19 clubs change from season to season. We have promotion, we have relegation. These positions change. It isn't always the same 20 clubs. But you sign up for it. You sign up for the rules and you adhere to them, or you go and you play your football elsewhere. This all just seems to be a case of loophole, 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 loophole. They're actually crying that they can't buy the best players in the world, when there's questions about how they've actually paid for some of their managers, how they've paid some of their sponsorship deals, whether there's been hidden accounts, and they're cry arson that they can't buy the best players in the world. And they might have to sell their tickets for a little bit more. Well, boo-hoo. That's called business. It's called being a football club. You operate under the rules the same as everybody else. And a little bit of bad news, by the way. Someone just mentioned in the chat on Ben Doak. Unfortunately, Ben Doak has had to withdraw from the Scottish Euro squad due to injury, and Tommy Conway has been called up to replace him. So Liverpool's Ben Doak has withdrawn from the Scotland Euro squad because of his injury, and hopefully he gets recovered and ready to go for pre-season, and we wish him all the best in his recovery. Probably one of the most stupid, arrogant decisions I've ever seen, said Trevor Smith. Again, we have a poll up who said, do you think this is a good move by Manchester City? So far, 86% say no, 14% are obviously trolling or have lost their damn minds. I can feel myself getting more angry over it, said Corbin 2003. Dude, I've spent the entire day reading up on this, reading the Times article, reading what other outlets have had to say, trying to gauge opinion, and it seems like everybody's confused. You know, it's crazy, this situation. And this lawsuit was filed in February, or this complaint with a lawsuit was filed in February, and we're hearing about it now in June. So again, I would ask, why is there not transparency in the Premier League? Why don't they inform everybody, stakeholders, fans, of these impending cases? And why are we only hearing about something that was lodged in February now? But the good news is, At least now we know when Manchester City's hearing is, and that's November. November feels like a very weird time though, because we're already into a new season. Surely they could have found a way to get this done before the season kicked off. Because what happens if Manchester City are found guilty of all charges? As an example, let's say they're found guilty of the majority, some, or all of the charges. What are they going to punish them with? Because are they going to relegate them in the middle of a season? You know, I don't, again, the timing of it all just feels weird. Why November? Why not do it May, June, July, when there's a little bit of time? And when it's heard, how long are we going to have to wait then for the independent body to give us their decision? Brendan Rodgers deserves his title, said BLA. Weirdly, I was actually only reading up on Brendan Rodgers last night over something. I can't even remember what it was, but I was reading back over Rodgers' time at Liverpool. Sensationalised Meds reporting this Premier League rules not only limit City but all clubs that aspire to reach the top four. Forget it because you can't buy decent players. Forget any ambition. Paul, I'm trying to pick apart the comment there, mate, to figure it out. You can't just turn it into an arms race, Paul, because that becomes a race to the bottom. So it's all very well and good now. Let's say Liverpool got bought over by, I don't know, a billionaire from, it doesn't really matter, Australia. So Liverpool get, let's say Rupert Murdoch buys Liverpool. And Rupert Murdoch just throws a ton of money at Liverpool, puts a load of debt on the club, buys a load of great players, and Liverpool are 6 or 7 billion in debt to him by the time we're a few years in. He gets bored and he decides that he wants his money back. And he starts asset stripping Liverpool, starts selling off the ground, starts selling off this, that and the other, and leaves the club with a pile of debt and walks away. Still think that's okay? I don't. I think that the health and sustainability of football is important. And that's why people can't just come in and spend as much as they want. Because there's no jeopardy for somebody who has unlimited wealth. If you're trying to operate a business and you're up against another business who can just continuously lose money until you basically go out of business trying to compete, that ain't fair. That's not competition. There's no jeopardy if there's a whole nation's wealth behind your football club. You don't have to try and make every penny count. You don't have to make the numbers add up because you can just keep writing off the losses because you're potentially sports washing. So, it's not that simple. And of course you can get into the top four. That's been proven. Leicester City won a league, Paul. Leicester City, mate, won the league. That was a beautiful story. And they were able to do it within the rules. So, I'm sorry, I just think that that's just a stupid comment. Etihad Airways sponsored them in 2012 and their accounts show 8 million paid. Man City's accounts show a payment of 61.5 million, 3 times the Man United record for that year. I've said this to you guys before, but watch Britain's Biggest Football Scandal on YouTube. It goes into all of these deals and everything in far more detail than I could ever give you. And it's free. So if you get a chance, watch it on YouTube. Britain's biggest football scandal. Craig, City is a crime against football, my brother. Well, I love that Domino's and a few others are going in on them. They've showed a picture of an empty box and they said, this is our new sympathy for Manchester City pizza. And then you had the likes of Paddy Power putting up like a tiny little violin. Nobody has any sympathy for City because we all know what they are. We've always said it. Say what you want about me, whether you're a Chelsea fan, an Arsenal fan, a United fan, whatever. But I've been consistent on this. From day one, I've been stepping forward into the firing line to make sure that I keep talking about Manchester City. People kept telling me I was deluded. People kept telling me I was obsessed with it. I'm not. I just love football. And I want the league to be around for my son, for his sons, for my daughter's sons and daughters, for your sons and daughters. I want it to be around for the next generation. I don't want it destroyed by the greed and the duplicity of one club. So that's my stance on it. That's always been my stance on it. Evie, welcome to Anfield Agenda FC. Evie, appreciate your support as always, my friend. I hope VAR are happy now with helping them. Rodri handball, Doku, don't bottle it like UEFA, FA/Premier League. Remember, the Premier League are the ones who brought the charges. So, say what we want about it. They brought the charges to Manchester City. Now, a lot of these articles have called this a potential civil war in football. I'm going to go back to one of the earlier pieces from the Times where it basically just says that City are suing the Premier League for damages while arguing that the league's democratic system of requiring at least 14 clubs or 2/3 to vote to implement any changes gives the majority an unacceptable level of control. They accuse rival clubs of discrimination against Gulf ownership. This stuff does my head in. They can't just not have done something. Now they have to throw in the race card. Now it's because Premier League clubs don't like Gulf states owning football clubs. There's always an angle. How about just go through the investigation, open up everything to the Premier League, and see how you're fixed? We're all sick of it. Manchester City are, in my opinion, pathetic. Tin pot rich Wigan. That's it. Forget them. I hate them. The sooner the better that this is dealt with properly and the Premier League can get back to the business of concentrating on football and not lawsuits, then the better we'll all be. Because this is a disgrace, in my opinion. The whole lot of it, from start to finish. Telling us what we're seeing with our own eyes isn't actually happening. Tony Smith said, City only doing this so it takes even longer. Well, the thought process, Tony, is that they're doing it to overwhelm the Premier League's legal team. So that while they can't prepare for the 115 charges because they're now being sidetracked by this, Manchester City can go ahead and put most of their efforts into those 115 charges, knowing that unlike them, the Premier League only have a finite and a set amount of money to work with. They can't just throw unlimited legal funds at it. So that's what they're trying to do here. They're trying to overload the Premier League, and that's the view of many outlets. City can't play this season, sorry, said Corbin with a super chat. Thank you, mate, for that one. I think I missed that one originally. Mark sent it back onto me. Yeah, City can't play this season, sorry, said Corbin 2003. Thank you, mate. City are disgraceful and shameless. Be interesting to see which Premier League clubs stand against them. So far, one Premier League club has spoken up for Manchester City. Now, the piece doesn't say who that Premier League club is, and I'm not going to guess who it is because that would be unfair of me. But it does also say that over half of the Premier League clubs, I think 11 of them, have given submissions in support of the Premier League, which of course they would. Again, let's think about this. They're saying the tyranny of the majority. So basically, if 14 clubs in a 20 club league vote for something, they're saying that's a tyranny. That's democracy. That's a democratic process at work. You signed up for it. If you don't want to be in the Premier League, then fuck off elsewhere. Go play in League 1 or League 2. But if you want to play in the Premier League, you have to abide by the rules that are in place. And now to be just screaming the race card and playing the victim, it's absolutely disgusting. Alex, can you please stop annoying me with the anti-Liverpool news? Like, I know you're probably a kid, mate, but this is a pretty serious subject. And yes, there's Liverpool news. If you haven't got the time to hang around till I get to it, Google it or watch another channel. But this is one of the biggest stories in football over the past 10 years. And my job is to cover it. City should just quit the Premier League if they don't want to follow the rules. Exactly. My point exactly. You don't want to be here, off you pop. Do you know what I mean? I agree with you all on that one. Money makes anything possible. Every big team gets away with it. Do they? I don't think they do. I think that's just not true. For example, let me read you out this. 1 second. Liverpool's profit and sustainability position, because I did go and investigate this today. So Liverpool are in absolutely no danger of falling into PSR problems, because in the last 3 seasons, Liverpool have recorded a combined pre-tax loss of £6.3 million, which is a long way short of the £105 million threshold. So Liverpool there, you can see, over those 3 years, have been nowhere near it. You're allowed to lose 105 million, they've lost 6.3. And they're coming through COVID years. So no, mate, not every big club does it. This is a whole another level of stuff that we've not seen before in England. Right, sorry, some super chats to catch up on. Arne slot 1, Pep nil, hopefully, said Bila. If City get punished, can't they come up from whatever league? Because they will make a fortune on player sales. So think of it this way, Harry. We all think that if they got thrown out of the Premier League, they'd go into Championship, League 1, League 2, right? But here's the thing, and this is true, you can research it. The Football League are under no obligation to take anybody expelled from the Premier League. That's the truth. You don't have to take my word for that. You can research that yourself. So if they were thrown out, the Football League doesn't have to accept them. It doesn't have to welcome them into that pyramid. They could have to go all the way back down to the bottom of non-league and start again, hypothetically. Jack Renton said, "Evening, Craig. Just wanted to say thank you. Your videos have really helped me tremendously through a really tough time the last few months." Well, most importantly, Jack, I hope times are better for you, bro. And I'm glad that you were able to come in and be distracted for a little while, watch a few of the videos and interact with us, bro. Thank you for your very kind super chat. Thank you for your wonderful sentiment. And most importantly, as I said, I hope things are good with you, bro. Hi, Craig. City are scandalous. I hope they're charged, said Zumzi. My friend, I couldn't agree with you more. Now, look, I will go back through the Liverpool news now because I'm aware this is a Liverpool channel, but we have to cover this situation because it's, you know, it's a big, big story. Craig, have you covered the Ben Doak news? I did, Harry. I mentioned it a moment ago. For those who are coming in and aren't aware, Ben Doak has had to pull out of the Scottish squad for the Euros because of an injury, and he's going to be replaced by Tommy Conway of Bristol, I believe. Do you think we lost by a point twice to these cheats, said Dexio? Yes. Boils my blood. So, Ben, I have another poll for you. I'm going to end this one. Do you think this is a good move by Manchester City? 81% say no, 19% say yes. So for the next poll, Ben, let me just think about the wording of this because I want to get it right. What would you want done if City were stripped of their titles? No titles to anybody or titles handed out to second place finishes? Something along those lines, Ben. Because we've had a bit of a debate in our Discord about this. And I'm of the mindset that if Manchester City were stripped of their titles, I don't want them. I don't want them at Liverpool. I want a big exclamation point beside that year with an asterisk that then points down and you have to read and said nobody was awarded the league title that year because Manchester City was stripped of it for breaching Premier League rules. That's what I'd rather see because that's historical. That stays forever. I don't want tainted league titles. I don't want league titles that we don't get the chance to celebrate when Jurgen Klopp's already left the club. It's, to me, meaningless because all of this shouldn't have happened. It should have been allowed to happen. It should have been dealt with beforehand. So for me, I've always been very stubborn in that I don't want the tainted titles. Imagine you won an Olympic gold medal and then you see somebody else go up and hear their national anthem being played while you're second on the podium. You get your silver medal, you're very proud of yourself. You go home, you carry on with your life. 6 months later, you get a letter from the Olympic Committee saying, the person who finished first has actually failed the drugs test. You've been promoted to the gold medal. You're not going to get that full stadium back. You're not going to get that celebratory moment with your national anthem in front of all your family and friends and teammates that you've worked your whole life for. So they've begrudged us league titles, probably United a league title, Arsenal maybe a league title, domestic cups, a Champions League. They've basically, if found guilty, robbed thousands and hundreds and thousands, maybe millions of fans around the world of celebratory moments by cheating. So it would feel hollow to me to take those medals or trophies. Doug, how are you, mate? Said, remember the fit and proper test for new owners coming into the league? Allowed Abu Dhabi and Saudi Arabia, and City wouldn't challenge this if they didn't have anything to hide. City are a joke, said the Dugout Football Channel. And thank you, Doug. I hope yourself, Rebecca, and your baby are doing well, mate. Unrelated, but I think Eze is the new Sadio Mane. Get him ASAP, said Bila. Yeah, loads of love for Eze recently. Now, I didn't watch the England game last night, but reports were quite good. And yeah, look, he's a good player. No denying that. He is a good player. And thank you for your super chat again, my friend. Harry said, say if City are in non-league and they sell Haaland, can they spend the Haaland money to go up, or will the next league refuse City promotion? Truly don't know. Don't know, because we're in uncharted territory here, bud. I don't think any of us know the answers because we've not had it play out like this before. So it's a difficult one. It's a valid question, but it's one that I really don't know the answer to, mate. What are your thoughts on Arne Slot getting the transfer budget for 200 million? I don't think, Nelson, that there is a transfer budget. I know I'm very outspoken against their owners and I still think they're cheap, and I'm never going to change my mind on that. But I don't think that a club like Liverpool go into a summer with a pot of money. So let's say you ran a business or I ran a business. I wouldn't say to my team, there's a 50 million quid budget, spend it. Because they're going to spend every penny of it, right? They're going to make sure they go out and spend it. I would say, bring me proposals for what you want to do, and we'll discuss each individual one on its merit, and then we'll allocate the funding. And I think that's the way we do our transfer business. So the scouts, the transfer team, the gaffer, they'll all get their heads together, and then they'll come up with the player they want, and then Michael Edwards will go and speak, or Richard Hughes will go and speak to FSG and say, we want this guy, they're asking this amount, he wants X amount in wages, what we saying. And then if Liverpool feel there's value in it, and their background checks and all have gone fine on the player, they'd proceed to the next stage. So I don't think we have a naturally allocated amount of money each summer. Lance Armstrong sued USADA because he was innocent. Oh, I know. I'm very much seeing similarities between this and the whole Lance Armstrong thing. He was suing everybody. Anyone that basically spoke out against him, he was throwing lawsuits at. And it's very much a distraction, in my opinion. And thank you, Tom, for your super chat. Boogers taste salty. I'm going to have to taste your word on that, bro, because honestly, I pick my nose a lot, but I've never eaten it. If you were in a contest and there was a 1 million prize and you finished second, you'd take it. The first place person was found to be cheating. That's completely different, though. That's a contest for £1 million. That's just money. I don't think that's comparable to the glory of standing there in front of your fans with the trophy, or in front of your family and friends with a medal. You begrudge that. Like, you've think about it this way, mate. Let's say, for instance, the World Cup. We've all grown up kicking the ball around, dreaming about scoring the winning goal in the Champions League, the World Cup, the FA Cup final. Imagine you dreamt that your entire life and you got there and you lost, and then you found out that the others were cheating. You'll get your medal, but you don't get that lap of honour around the pitch. You don't get the thing you've dreamt about, visualised, worked towards your entire life. That's taken away from you. So it's not a similar comparison for me, because you're just talking about straight money. Money, yeah, I'd take the money. Of course I would. That's money. It's not the glory. I haven't spent my entire life training for that contest. So I don't think it is a good point. I think it's not comparable, because you've just entered that competition. You know, you haven't dreamt of winning it. Craig or chat, can I ask, when would the Manchester City final verdict for the case be announced, since it's happening in November, said Stephen. Don't know, Stephen. Don't know. I think it's going to be a long case, but I truly don't know when we'll get the outcome of it. It's a very valid question, bro. I just don't know the answer to it. Arne Slot wants Olmo from Leipzig, price tag 51 million, said Rustam Dalal. I don't think he does. Price tag, you're right on. Olmo's been linked, but I was kind of thinking the same thing until I read an article that reminded me of something. Where does Dani Olmo play? Right side. Right side of attack for Leipzig. Who did he replace in that position? Dominic Szoboszlai. Where's Dominic Szoboszlai? At Liverpool. So it doesn't really make sense to go back to the same club to bring in a player who replaced the player that we've just brought to our club in that position. You either start to play Dominic Szoboszlai on the right or you don't. So my own bit of research has told me that the Dani Olmo stuff isn't true, that Liverpool don't have an interest in Dani Olmo. And as I said, when I read into more detail about the thought process of, well, we've already got the guy that was in that position at that club and brought him to our club, now this guy's replaced them, I just don't think it makes sense. I think there's better value to be had elsewhere. Can it be that we didn't see anything about Slot from Liverpool because there will be a longer video maybe? Also, would there be a chance that the club could be liquefied? Manchester City? No idea. Honestly, I don't mean to be short with people over the potential outcome, but I truly don't know. It could be anything from a fine, points deduction, relegation, expulsion from the league. I have no idea. Like, it's uncharted territory. So I think the potential punishment is also uncharted territory, and I would imagine that will be appealed again and there'll be another process. Right, so let's go through some of the news around Liverpool because there's a lot to go through. Ironically, Liverpool's own sponsors are in a bit of hot water as well. I don't know if you've seen this, but there was a lawsuit filed in America against Standard Chartered by a whistleblower who claims that up to $100 billion has been funneled into terrorist hands, basically through the bank. A statement released to the Echo from Standard Chartered read as follows. This filing is another attempt to use claims against the bank following previous unsuccessful attempts. The false allegations underpinning it have been thoroughly discredited by the US authorities, who undertook a comprehensive investigation into the claims and said they were meritless and did not show any violation of US sanctions. We are confident the courts will reject these claims as they already have done repeatedly. So, we got to be transparent here. If we're speaking about one club or whatever and something pops up about our club, we have to discuss that as well. That's the response from Standard Chartered when the Echo asked them for comment on it. So you can take what you want from that and take it at face value. Could City play in the Super League if it came about? Of course. Because that wouldn't be under the auspices of UEFA or the Premier League. So yes, technically they could. I get the lack of a celebration for the previous second place, but Athletic still give second place the gold. Otherwise, play a one-time playoff against Sean Goater, etc. and Paul Dickoff, what they really should be playing with. Now look, I'm not saying my answer is the right answer for not wanting the trophies. It's an opinion. Every one of your opinions are equally as valid, and I can see your side of it as much as I can see my own side of it. This is just my own personal preference. I respect your difference of opinion because, again, there's no right answer. It is just what you feel, how you feel about it. So let's have a look at the poll. What would you want to happen to Manchester City's title in the event they were found guilty? No contest asterisks, 40%. Awarded to second place teams, 52%. Leave them with City, 8%. So it seems like most people, 52%, are in agreement with you, Bila, that you would like the second place titles awarded. And I'm absolutely sound about that. Jurgen promised us he'd come back for the parade as well, the bus parade, if that was the case. For me, I just don't. But if it was awarded to us, like everybody else, happy days. But I'm just giving you my own opinion, but I respect all of yours. And thank you for your really generous super chat as well, mate. Right, some more news to go through. I feel like I'm going through a lot of stuff here just to get to the Liverpool news. Right, so the first thing today was around Gonzalo Inacio. We've got conflicting reports on Liverpool's apparent interest in the Sporting Lisbon centre-back. We had Fabrizio Romano come out and say that Liverpool do still hold an interest. But then we had David Lynch, I think, speaking either for This Is Anfield or in the Anfield Wraps podcast. I can't remember which one. But said Liverpool are not considering a move for Sporting centre-back Gonzalo Inacio this summer. The latest links are thought to be an attempt to generate interest in a player who has long been touted as Premier League bound. I'm kind of a little bit relieved at that, because I've been open and honest with you guys all the way through this. Whilst he's a good player and I would have happily had him at Liverpool, it would have annoyed me that we spent €20 million more than we would have needed to last year to get him. So I'm not surprised that the club have come out and denied this, because I feel like the club would have paid it last year if they really wanted him. Another one said Tane Koopmeiners reaches verbal agreement amid Liverpool links. Don't get excited though. The verbal agreement isn't with Liverpool Football Club. This says Liverpool have been dealt a blow in their reported interest in signing Atalanta midfielder Tane Koopmeiners. According to Corriere dello Sport via Juve.com or JuveFC.com, Koopmeiners has reached a verbal agreement with Juventus over a deal to move to Serie A this summer, or to the Serie A club, this summer. He's already in Serie A, obviously. Koopmeiners has been heavily linked with a move to Liverpool over the last few months, but the latest reports claim that the midfielder looks set to move to Turin rather than Merseyside. So, Juventus need to free up some money. So if they want Koopmeiners, that could push Chiesa even further towards the exit door. Chiesa, of course, having just 1 year left. It's also been thought that somebody was coming in for Weston McKennie. I think, was it Aston Villa interested in Weston McKennie? Because that was spoken about as well. So I don't think Liverpool do hold that interest in Koopmeiners anymore. But if Juventus get their man, they're going to have to free up some money. So maybe a cheap Chiesa deal. We said to you guys yesterday, would you take Federico Chiesa? And 82% of you said yes, for 20 million quid you take Federico Chiesa. And that's the number being spoken about. It was Villa. Thank you, mate. I thought it was Villa, but I was just thinking, am I saying that, or am I thinking of Villa with the Douglas Luiz leaving? So, before I move into the rest of the news, I've got a little bit of an update on this for you. So, as you can see on the screen, our Cardiff show and our Liverpool shows are selling fast. They are going to be our last ever live shows, but the Liverpool venue is about 70 to 75% sold out. I did speak to the people at the venue, and there is the possibility, if we need to, that we could move into the bigger theatre, because they have bigger sizes. But I can't guarantee that at the minute. We have to wait and see what numbers are like. So if you are thinking of coming and seeing us in Liverpool, get your tickets quickly. That is the only way I can guarantee you that you'll be able to come to the show. Because let's say 2 weeks' time, I say to your man, go ahead for the bigger venue, and he said, sorry, someone's booked it. Nothing I can do about it at that point. So if you want to come and see us in Cardiff or Liverpool, you can get your tickets. There's a link in the description of the stream, and I'm sure Ben will pin it to the top of the chat as well. Tickets are priced at just £15, 1-5. And also, delighted to say, those of you who are coming to the Cardiff show, you're going to meet an old face. Mr. Chris Stonage is going to be at the Cardiff show. He emailed me last night to ask if he could come along, and I said to him, of course you can, as long as you come up on stage at the end for a bit of a Q&A with me. So if you come to Cardiff, you're going to meet me, Ben, Connor, and Chris Stonage as well. And we'll all be there doing meet and greets, photos, and all the other stuff as well. Tickets are priced at just 15 quid for both shows. And for Cardiff, you can get a group ticket for £50 for 4 people. So, again, I keep banging on about it, but I don't want anybody to email me saying, Craig, is there any way I can get a ticket for the show? When the Cardiff one's done, it's done. We can't do anything about the size of that venue. It is what it is. But the Liverpool show, again, I wouldn't hang around on. I'm shocked saying this because the Belfast and Dublin shows didn't sell out. So, but these ones do look like they're selling quickly. So, hope to see you there. And they're all ages events as well, which is great. So everybody can come. Kids, teenagers, everyone. Right. Thoughts on the 4-2-3-1 formation where Trent moves to midfield as a double pivot in possession and Maka moves forward as a second CAM. So in that double pivot tray, I wouldn't envision McAllister alongside Trent. In my own head, mate. I would think of somebody like Endo, Ederson from Atalanta, or another DM that's brought in to play alongside Trent. Maybe I'm wrong, but I think of it like this. You've got one player like Trent who's the quarterback, the regista, the person who unlocks the defence. And then you've got the ball winner, the person who is press resistant, the person who is defensively minded, who gets the ball, wins the ball, gives it to Trent, and Trent does his thing. So that's how I see the double pivot. And also I'd have McAllister in the advanced role already. So I'd have McAllister in the central role behind the strikers, or maybe Elliott in that role, one of them two. What time are the shows coming from Sweden will have to travel? What time are they? The shows will all be finished by 10 p.m. Everything, because they're all ages events, the licensing laws mean that we have to be out of the venues by 10 p.m. So the show will start at 7 and finish at about 9:30, and then we'll do half an hour of photos and meet and greets and stuff, and then 10 o'clock will be done. So 7 to 10 is the answer. How was Belfast? I really enjoyed it. Yeah, really enjoyed it. Place was lovely. People were amazing. Venue was class. Right, sorry, I'm going to get back to the news though, because I have a lot to get through. Not that. Right, here's a mad one that I seen earlier on. Are you ready? Anybody for a bit of Paulo Dybala? Because he's going to be available on the cheap. So AS Roma forward Paulo Dybala could be coming to the Premier League, said this piece. He has a release clause for €12 million, or just over £10 million, that's valid until July 31st, according to Sky. He's 30 years of age. He has 16 goals and 10 assists and 39 appearances this season for Roma. What would you do? Would you take Dybala for 10 million quid? I don't think I would, to be honest with you. I'd rather Chiesa for the 20 million. But let me know your thoughts on Dybala. 30 years of age. I think somebody in the Premier League could get a bargain. I just don't know, excuse me, if it would be a good fit for Liverpool. But 10 million for Dybala does seem like a good bit of business for somebody. I'm trying to think who that somebody. Spurs, as an example. I could absolutely see him at Spurs. Stargirl, thank you for your very kind super chat. My God, the super chats have been flying today. Really, really thank you to everyone who sent them in. City chose to join the Premier League. It's a private club. They signed up knowing the rules. How can this go to court? They could have left at any time. So that's how us normal people feel, Stargirl, right? Us lay people who don't look to either exploit or look for vulnerabilities in the legal system or in the rules of the Premier League. But to me and to many other people, this just feels like it's a distraction. The Premier Leagues usually spend 5 million quid on legal fees every year. As per their own sources, they've already spent 20 million, and they've had to take a lot of the people that were working on the charges, the 115 charges, they've had to take a lot of those people and now move them to counter and defend this claim for Manchester City. So basically, they've thrown money at it, and they've watered down the ability of the Premier League to actually have their full focus on those 115 charges, which are going to be heard in November, because they're now distracted with this other Manchester City case. It's pretty transparent, in my opinion, what's happening. I prefer Dybala to Chiesa. Very romantic, said Ernesto. Well, Dybala's 30, so the age profile is certainly on the side of Chiesa for me. Ain't he going to Villa? Who? Dybala? Not seen. All I can tell you is that there's that release clause that is valid until the end of June. So if somebody triggers it, he could be coming to the Premier League, and I think at that price somebody should. Really, I just don't know if it would be a good fit for us. I think we need to look longer term. Trey said, agreed with you, Craig. CDM is a must. I like the idea of Trent and Maka being fluid in positioning. So, Team Talk put out a piece today that said, Arne Slot to brutally replace 2023 Klopp signing as marquee deal eyed. And what they're talking about is the CDM position. They're talking about the fact that Endo is a sticking plaster. According to this piece, Endo is a short-term solution. And the Arne Slot and Liverpool are looking for a marquee signing, a big name to come in and do the job that we'd hoped Caicedo or Lavia or one of those younger players would have done. So, or Tchouaméni even before him. So let's hope we do get the player in. Because I like Waturo. Definitely a good argument to keep Waturo around. But we need that step up for me. We need the best that we can get. And if that's Ederson or that's somebody else, so be it. But I was kind of happy when I seen this. But again, I'll believe it when I see the transfer. Do you think Gravenberch could become a number 6, said Chris Davies? Yes, and so does some of his former, his international countrymen. I've seen a few pieces and a few interviews that have suggested, I think somebody, I can't remember who it was, I don't want to put words in somebody's mouth, but somebody was talking about Nigel de Jong. And they said Nigel de Jong used to be somebody a bit like Ryan Gravenberch who could kind of do it all, do it in every facet of midfield, but wanted to focus on being an expert in one area and ended up looking and becoming a more defensively minded midfielder. So maybe Gravenberch could do the same thing. He's got the physicality. He is, in my opinion, fairly press resistant. I can't speak to his defensive side though. Of course, that would have to be worked on, but I think you could do something with him there, yeah. BLA, again, thank you for another super chat, mate. You're really kind. Said Adam Wharton would be good for the double pivot. Surprised Tyler Morton didn't speak up. Maybe scared he'd take his Liverpool career. Tyler Morton's a tough one because he's one of the few people who I would say all of his loan spells have gone really well. And I could understand if he felt like he deserved an opportunity, because he probably does. And I'm sure that he'll be looked at. But I can't say for certain if I feel that he's good enough to play in that position for us week in and week out. You know, I've not seen enough of him at the top level to know that. But I do know that he's always done very good in the Championship when he's been on loan there. So certainly, you know, should be looked at by Arne Slot in pre-season. Not going to make the Cardiff show or the Liverpool show. I'm in Wales but staying in Searum with extended family. Would you do another meet and greet show in Wales or England again? Show? No. Meet and greets? Yes. That's what we're going to do moving forward. So we're going to do meet and greets. I want to do one in Cork. Want to do one in Galway. Want to do one in Spain. Want to do a few in England where maybe we charge like a £5 to cover the cost of renting a venue. And then we do Q&A where you guys ask us a load of questions and we meet and greet with people. Those things, no problem. No problem doing any of those. But a stage show where I have to go up and speak for 2 hours on my own, it's daunting. And I get really bad stage fright. So that's why these two shows are the last two we're doing. And we're going to go out with a bang. Trust us. We're putting on two very good shows for Cardiff and Liverpool. Right, what else we got? Adam Wharton for 60 or 70 million, yay or nay, said Tobias. So, let me just end this other poll because we've had over 1,000 votes. 56% of you guys feel that if City were stripped of their titles, you would like to see them given to the second place teams. 10% said leave the titles with City, and 34% say no contest, asterisk beside it. Thank you for your feedback on it. And see, on this one, I was in the, well, not the minority, but the second minority, because I would have been no contest, asterisk. But I appreciate and respect that you guys would like to see the second place given the titles, and I'd have, again, you know, democracy. Sorry, no, I'm calling it out now. That's it. I've had enough of this. I'm not doing it anymore. This is just, what's it called again? 1 second. Where's this one gone? What's the phrase I'm looking for? Help me out. This is just, where is it? What's the phrase they used? Tyranny of the majority. Yes, that was it. Thank you. Yeah, I'm having it. I'm not having it anymore. Screw all of you. This is just tyranny of the majority. My voice is the only one that should be heard. So nobody should have another opinion, because us minority, we're being victimised here in this vote. Surely I should be the only one that gets a voice. So what if most people voted for second place to get the trophies? It's tyranny, I tells you. Tyranny. Remember talking 70 mil for Decore from Palace last year? Yes, Trey. And also we're speaking about Mark Gay quite a bit as well last year. So that could happen as well, because Mark Gay is a very good centre-back in my opinion. I'm still freaking out about what the hell is going on with Arne Slot though. Like, I feel like doing a Where's Waldo kind of thumbnail with Where's Slot, because we're now Tuesday and we're 4 days into Arne Slot being Liverpool's head coach and we haven't heard a peep. Haven't even seen a photo shoot. Nothing. I know I can look in the mirror and just basically see Arne Slot, but for the rest of you, you know, it'd be nice to hear from him, wouldn't it? Herobrine said, toying Coop Miners possibility. So we did discuss Coop Miners quite a bit over the past few days, and it seems like Juventus are the ones pushing hardest. We went through earlier tonight and we said that Juventus have apparently reached a verbal agreement with Coop Miners over salary and stuff like that, but they still have to come up with the 51 million that it seems Atalanta would want for his services. From all the stuff that I've read and seen, it looks like Liverpool did go over to scout Coop Miners, but Ederson are the ones that turned Liverpool's head, and I'm hoping that that is the case, because I really like Ederson and I would love him in our midfield. Sorry, I need to take a drink. 1 sec. All that tyranny was just making the throat dry, you know. I really like Joachim Andersen, Mark A, centre-back partner. No, he doesn't fit the same age profile, but he's a really good centre-back. I remember speaking with Lee Gunner, actually, and he was saying that Arsenal wanted Andersen, or maybe it was that he wanted Andersen at Arsenal. I'm not sure which one it was. But he is good. But can you imagine Darwin? If he shows up and Darwin's like, hello? Because was he the one Darwin got sent off for having a bit of a battle with? Right, what else is there here? Right, Liverpool apparently are going to face competition for James Trafford's signature from Bayern Munich. Obviously, no surprise that Bayern Munich's new head coach, Vincent Kompany, used to be the Burnley manager. And this piece said Liverpool will face competition from Bayern Munich in the race to sign James Trafford. Football Insider have claimed that Bayern are now also interested in the Englishman, with Vincent Kompany looking to bring in one of the players he coached last season to the Allianz Arena. So, thoughts? I mean, I always found the whole James Trafford thing a little bit unlikely, because he's a number one. He's not going to now want to come into Liverpool to take a step back to be a number two. Thankfully, it looks like Alisson Becker's going nowhere, so that's good news. But if we are to bring in a number two, I'd have no problem with the quality of Trafford, but I would find it very difficult to believe that he would want to come in and be a number two at Liverpool. So for me, that would be unlikely. Right, this is the part of the stream where I say to you guys, if you haven't already, please do hit that subscribe button and drop a like on the stream. Particularly, well, both actually. We'd like to keep the subscribers moving forward, and of course, if you haven't hit the like button, you know, this is the day where Manchester City have effectively thrown their toys out of the pram. I feel we should all be on the same page laughing at them. And to do that, no better way to laugh at them than by hitting that like button. So let's see if we can get us up to 1,000 likes tonight on the Manchester City stream, because we're gonna be keeping an eye on this story as it evolves over the next few weeks. What do you think of the Embuemo links? I smell a poll, is what I think. Benjamin, could we please get a poll? Benjamin's my producer now, by the way, so Ben will be on the late night shows with me, which I love, because it stops me looking like an idiot going tippity tappity tippity tappity. Would you take Brian Embuemo at Liverpool, Ben? Yay or nay? Now, what swung me on this one was I was surprised at his age. When I seen the links to Mbeumo, first thing I thought was, nah, wrong age profile, probably want too much money. But then I realised that he's only 24. And that turned me a little bit, I have to say. Because I've always liked his work rate. He puts up semi-decent numbers at Brentford and can play right across the front line. Very versatile, very hard-working. At 24 years of age, for the right money, I would take Mbeumo. Premier League proven, experienced, and as I said, younger than I thought. I would have sworn he was like 27, 28. Pat Butcher, how are we, Pat? Looking well, love, looking well. Said Mbeumo be ideal, somebody with a bit of fight in them, and 24. Yeah, once the age thing came, mate, and I realised that I'm an idiot, then I changed my perspective. I was like, yes, Mbeumo I would take it for the right money now, you know. Anything less than 60 and I'd take Mbeumo. Thoughts on Alonso's statement saying, hope he manages Liverpool someday, my favourite Liverpool player of all time next to Trent, Dom and Bobby and Klein. All I seen from Xabi Alonso was a statement to say that the bond with Liverpool is still there. He still loves Liverpool, yada yada. And look, maybe we see him coach Liverpool someday. He's very young in his managerial career, so he's got plenty of time to fulfill it all. To manage at Liverpool, to manage at Real Madrid, to manage at Bayern Munich, to continue what he's doing at Leverkusen. You know, he definitely does have age on his side there, so let's wait and see. It'd be lovely, you know, as long as he keeps progressing and doing as excellently as he has as a coach. Why not someday, you know? I hope Arne Slot is a success and is here for many years to come, but who knows what the future has in store. Sorry to keep asking, Craigo, how does it work with the City thing? Surely clubs lost hundreds of millions due to losing positions, Champions League football. I'm happy to go back over the City stuff in a few minutes, so stick with me and we'll run back over it all. And look, I'm not going to sit here and claim that I'm an expert on every aspect of this. I'm fairly well versed on it because I've spent a couple of years reading up on it. But there are people who will probably give far better opinions on this, the likes of a Henry Winter or Miguel Delaney, you know, top level journalists. But I will do my best to explain it all to you. Just give me a couple of minutes to go through this comment section. Is Liverpool battling with United for Inacio? No, we don't want Inacio, according to reports today and according to what I believe as well. United very well could be looking for him. Maybe, but Liverpool, according to David Lynch, I believe, he isn't on Liverpool's radar, and it's believed that it's just the agent trying to get a deal sorted for the player to bring him to the Premier League. Man City getting charged by FFP. What about Real Madrid? So I can't speak to Real Madrid's wages because I don't know their wages. But if you really look into Real Madrid's transfer business over the last 5 years, I was surprised when I looked at it, at how good they were at bringing in money and how little they really spent bringing players in compared to some of the other clubs around that time. So I can't speak to their wages and stuff, but with regards to transfers, it's actually not as bad as you think initially. They've just been ruthlessly efficient. You know, bringing in Mbappe for 100 million, let's say, over 5 years as a bonus, a signing on bonus, and then I think it was that like 350 grand a week after tax, euro, something like that. Bringing in Bellingham for a reasonable fee. They're just good at getting business done and leveraging who they are. You know, one of the biggest, if not the biggest club in the world. Bit weird the club hasn't done any media stuff with Slot. It is, Jack. I was even reading on the The Echo, and their own journalists on there were kind of saying, we expect a press conference, but, you know, as of yet, there's no official word from the club about when that might be. Inacio declined Newcastle in January because he said he wanted to join Liverpool. If Liverpool wanted him, we should have done it last summer when we could have got him for 40 million euro. Now, again, we'd be paying another 20 million, which would be just silly for me. But it's mad at the minute because even the Echo and other journalists, everyone's kind of a bit stumped as to what our business might actually be or when we might actually see business taking place. Now, the transfer window officially doesn't open until, I think, June the 14th, but you can still sign players before that. You just can't register them with the Premier League and with UEFA till then. So we could sign players at any moment. I would hope that Liverpool look to get business done early, but then again, the Euros complicates things. The fact that Arne Slot's come in fairly late to the Liverpool job, obviously, complicates things as we're playing catch-up a little bit. So let's wait and see. What do you make of Trent's England performance? I didn't watch it, Lee. I was streaming here last night, mate. So sorry, I just didn't watch it. Troy Parrott just put Ireland 2-1 up against Hungary. Nice. That'd be a decent win. Give John O'Shea the job, by the way. You know, I don't like the disrespect. I find it disrespectful what the FA are doing with John O'Shea. The man has been an incredible servant to Irish football. Stepped in when the FA needed him. Was caretaker boss and then caretaker boss again. I feel like they should just either give the man the job at this point or hurry up the process, because I find it personally a bit disrespectful to John O'Shea that the FA are dragging their feet on it. But fair play to him for just being a really good... He's just a real Irish football legend, you know, from every level all the way through. And I should not like him because he was at United, but he's just a good man, John O'Shea. Where do you reckon Kelleher would go? Maybe Forest. Celtic would like him, but can they afford 20 odd million quid for Caoimhín Kelleher after losing Joe Hart? I doubt it. So Forest were the ones that were strongly interested. I don't know, other than that. Unfortunately, I think the best centre-back prospect for Liverpool is Branthwaite. I don't disagree, Trey. Jarrod Branthwaite is an incredibly good centre-back. That whole Liverpool-Everton dynamic is the reason we can't go in there, and United will probably end up getting him. And it is frustrating because most of us, I think, rate him quite highly. But, you know, that whole Liverpool-Everton thing means we probably won't be with a chance there. When you search up Anfield, how does it feel you're the first suggestion? A couple of things there. One, it might be because of your previous searches, so you have to do it really on incognito mode to search it out. But I have done it before. I always search Anfield Agenda. I don't search my own name, but I do search Anfield Agenda in incognito mode. And yes, we do show up first on a lot of things for video searches and stuff like that. How does it feel? Surreal, probably. All of this feels surreal to me, mate. You know, I'm a normal working class dude, and this is all just like I'm living someone else's life. I've said this to you all along, but I also feel we've worked hard to get here. As a United fan, do you think Ten Hag is staying, Craig? If he does, would you be happy about that or not? So, again, what would I do? I'm going to look at it two ways. I'm going to look at it through Eric Ten Hag's eyes, and I'm going to look at it through my own eyes. So if I'm Eric Ten Hag, and I'm there at United, and I'm feeling and hearing that United are looking at and talking with other coaches, I'm really annoyed. Like, really annoyed. Because he could walk into another job. But in saying that, I would have fired him by now if I was at United. I would have fired him after the 7-0. And yes, he's picked up 2 domestic trophies, but the inconsistencies are too big. The squad looks split. He's fallen out with some players, whether rightly or wrongly, I don't know. And you also have to add in the Sancho stuff. So Sancho's pretty much said that if Ten Hag is not United, he'd come back. So I feel the only way to go about this is to sack him. But I wouldn't have appointed him in the first place. Go back to that time. I think I was making content with Paddy and Chris around then. I was not on the Ten Hag loving I never felt he was the right fit. I never felt he was big enough to go in and manage a club the size of United. So, for me, I'd sack him. But I find it disrespectful when any football club are talking to other coaches when they have a coach. Just do the right thing. Either let the coach know that you're going to be letting them go because you're talking to other coaches, or don't talk to other coaches. Alan said, why aren't you doing live shows after Liverpool and Cardiff? It's a very easy reason, mate. I get stage fright, and I'm very, very... For instance, the Belfast show, I was a bag of nerves for a week building up to that show. I was a bag of nerves walking down from my dressing room to the stage. I was a bag of nerves on stage. The only time I felt calm was afterwards when I met everyone. So it's just a stage fright thing with me, mate. I can't envision, as the channel grows, being able to go to bigger venues. So for instance, our first show last year in Dublin, we did about 60 tickets. Then we went to Belfast, we did close to 100. Now we're going over to Liverpool, and it looks like we're going to sell out 150, could go up to 225. Cardiff is a 200-seater place. And I get scared on stage because, like I always say to you guys, I don't see it. I don't see why people come. I don't see why people watch. I don't understand it. So when I'm standing on stage, I feel like a fraud. And I feel exposed. And I feel scared. Because I don't have any confidence in myself. And I don't have any belief that I should be there. That's the honest answer. That's why. I said I'll do 2 more. Then we'll have done 4 shows in a year. And that's it then. James Bond said, Craig, I was the one who suggested do the player ratings for the season. I'm glad you went ahead with them. Cheers. Thank you. Hope you enjoyed them. We had to split them over 2 videos though because they were quite long. What do I think about Mbappe to Real Madrid? I think it's where he belongs. I'll be honest. If he didn't finish his career with a Ballon d'Or, I think it would be a crime. And he's never going to get that Ballon d'Or, in my opinion, at PSG, unless they won the Champions League. So it felt like that's where he wants to be. That's where he's dreamt of being. And let's be honest, it's probably where he belongs. You know, he is a sensational footballer. So yeah, I feel like it's daunting for the rest of us. You know, you look at that Real Madrid team now with Bellingham, Endrick coming in, Vinny Jr., Rodrigo, Camavinga, Tchouaméni, Valverde, Courtois, Modric for another year as well because he's signing on. You know, it's daunting. But it's the right place for him. But you earned it for yourself, bro, said Mart. Yeah, but I know you probably think I just say this for words, lads, but when I sit down with my psychologist when I go and see him, half the conversations are around me not understanding why this is happening. Why there's there was over 2,000 people in the chat tonight. Why people are buying tickets to come and see. I don't get it. So I feel like a fraud when I'm up there. And I can't, I'm trying to change that, but I can't at the minute. We go to your show and we watch you because you're the best. Thank you. Appreciate it. Craig, just take a Xanax. I would if I could get a prescription for a Xanax or Valium, but doctors don't like giving them out these days. But my God, I could have done with a Valium before I went on stage in Belfast, definitely. And I don't drink, so I wasn't even going to have a drink or two, you know, beforehand. Yeah. No, I'm not going to say that. I was fine. I asked you to do a keep, sell or loan list at the end of the season. Can you still do it? It's on my list. Toxic Edits, don't worry. It's just been a very busy week for us because Connor's off on holidays now for a week from tomorrow. So let's all wish Connor a lovely holiday. He's off on a week's break, so it's going to be myself and Ben for the next week. And we've loads of stuff that we're working through. For instance, today we sorted it out, and I'm delighted to say, I don't want to say the young lad's name, but a father and son are being flown over from Poland to the Liverpool show thanks to you guys. Because you know the way over the past few weeks people have donated money in and said, this is for somebody who can't afford to come to a show, or this is for a little kid who'd like to come along. Well, we kept that money. We put it in a separate pile. We've given out 20 free tickets. Well, I say free. They're free because you guys have donated money. And we're flying that father and son over from Poland to be in Liverpool for the live show. And I can't wait. We've another guest coming to the Cardiff show as well. Another young man and his parents. And you guys made all that available. You guys made that possible with your generosity as well. So, yeah, I'm so proud of you all. I'm so proud of our community. Like, do you know how nice that felt to be able to do that for that young man and his father? Like, and knowing that it came from your kindness. It was lovely. With the Euro starting next week, surely Slough has to be unveiled. I know. I'm with you, bro. We're all with you. It definitely feels like we need... Oh, hang on. What's this? It definitely feels like we need a video or content with Arne Slot soon. So, Mail Sport have just put out what they call an exclusive. Manchester United are set to boot staff out of the main training ground canteen at Carrington, with Sir Jim Ratcliffe and Ineos only allowing those who directly work with the first team to eat there. Ratcliffe really is going in here and tearing stuff up at United. Offering around a load of redundancies as well, making people come back in from working from home back into the offices. It's certainly gone around and ripping up stuff. Do I ever take holidays? Yes, I'm booked in for 2 holidays, Keith. I'm going to Lanzarote with Sabrina and my son in September, and myself and my wife are going to Turkey in October. I take my holidays whenever the international breaks are on. So September, October and March usually. Right, I did promise I'd go back over the Man City stuff. So let's start with that. It's heavy lifting, but we'll try our best to get through it. So let's start off with this from the Times. It states that a 165-page legal document prepared by Manchester City claims that they are the victims of discrimination against Gulf ownership and that the associated party transaction rules were approved by rivals to stop their domination of the Premier League and are a tyranny of the majority. So what they say there, the associated party transaction rules, what that means is if you have a sponsorship agreement, let's say in City's case, Etihad Airways, the Premier League will look at that and see if it's value for money, see if it's a fair market value deal or if it's being inflated. If it's being overly inflated, it won't be allowed to happen. They're saying that that was brought in to discriminate against them and because of tyranny of the majority, which basically means 14 Premier League clubs will vote for it, and then they feel like because they're in the sixth, they're being victimised somehow, even though it's a democratic process. In their claim, Manchester City argue that the current rules will limit their ability to buy the best players and force them to charge fans more for tickets. They say they may also have to cut spending on youth development, women's football and community programmes. Now let me say this very clearly. In my opinion, that is scumbaggery of the highest order. Basically saying, if you don't let us do what we want, this is my opinion, if you don't let us do what we want, then we're going to start pulling money from youth development, we're going to start pulling money from women's football, and most importantly, community projects. Because one of the things you first hear from Manchester City fans in defence of their owners is look at what they've done in the local community. Look at the money they've invested. Look at all the things they've done. And now they're using it as a guilt trip. Or to say if you don't let us go out and spend what we want, we'll be forced to cut spending in these areas. Tough! Stop spending it then. You have to act within the rules. Premier League clubs have a scheduled meeting in Harrogate on Thursday to go through this. Manchester City didn't respond to the Times when asked for comment. Then, let's talk about the Premier League. This piece here, another aspect of the current situation, said millions are being spent on legal fees by the Premier League to fight this case. One senior club source said the Premier League's legal bill has more than quadrupled in the past year, from about £5 million to upwards and north of £20 million. They also point to the fact that since February, which is when Manchester City lodged this paperwork to sue the Premier League and all of the other stuff that cry arson about, since February when that came in, the Premier League's own legal department has been forced to shift its focus from trying to prepare for the 115 charges case to the current case defending itself against Manchester City's accusations. City have certainly spared no expense in their potentially groundbreaking legal fight. They've appointed 3 King's Counsels, Lord Panic, supported by Paul Harris and Rob Williams, a 4th senior barrister who specialises in competition and regulatory law. David Gregory is also on Manchester City's team. So City are suing the Premier League for damages while arguing that the league's democratic system of requiring at least 14 clubs, or 2/3 of those who vote, to implement rule changes gives the majority unacceptable levels of control. They accuse rival clubs of discrimination against Gulf ownership, citing the comments of one particular senior executive. So they're playing the race card here as well. It is just the lowest of the low for me. In this one set of filings here, we've seen them threaten that they might have to pull money from women's football, community project, youth development, if they're not allowed to have their way and spend whatever they want and the most amount of money to buy the best players. Now they're talking about it being because they're Gulf states and that they just don't want it to happen because they're Gulf states. It's sickening to me. The rules are there to provide health for the future of football, to make sure that we don't have football clubs not existing in 10, 15, 20, 50 years time. It's been brought in to keep the game going and to safeguard the game. And they're throwing their toys out of the pram and screaming at people and now playing the whole kind of race card about the Gulf States thing. It's just disgusting. It's disgusting. I'm sick of them. And I hope to God they get the book thrown at them. That's my take on all of it. And you know at this point, but somebody did ask me to recap it, so I did. The very first we seen about this today was a post that said, the hearing into Manchester City's 115 breaches is set for November. That hearing, expected to last about 6 weeks, could lead to massive fines for the club ownership and possibly even relegation for Pep Guardiola's all-conquering squad. That came from Matt Lawton of The Times, who wrote this piece that we spoke about tonight. So, there you go. It looks very clearly like it is, and I'm going to read this one part again because I didn't read this out yet. This piece said, City argue that sponsors linked to club owners, like cities or in Abu Dhabi, should be allowed to determine how much they want to pay. So, in City's mind, Etihad, as an example, should be able to say, we want to give Manchester City £1 billion a year if they want. And nobody should be able to tell them that they're not allowed to do that. 4 of City's top 10 sponsors have ties to United Arab Emirates, including stadium and shirt sponsors Etihad Airways. Newcastle, which is majority owned by Saudi Arabia's Public Investment Fund, have a shirt sponsorship deal with Sella, a Saudi sports rights company. Chelsea have a shirt deal with Infinite Athletic, a leisure company which counts the joint Chelsea owners as investors, while the Times knows of at least one club that has submitted a witness statement in support of City for next week's arbitration hearing. Sources believe that more than half have sided with the Premier League. The Premier League invited clubs to submit their statement in a letter from General Counsel Kevin Plum on March the 1st. So that's kind of where we're at with all of it. Now, I agree with the Premier League stance. There should be fair market value in a deal, because what we're dealing with here again is a state, and a state saying that one of their assets, an airline, should be able to pay whatever they want in sponsorship. But who funds that? Obviously, those in power in the state. It isn't fair because there's no commercial balance. There's no jeopardy involved in it. Liverpool can't run to, I don't know, pick a company based in Liverpool. Let's say Hot Water Comedy Club, as an example, based in Liverpool. Liverpool can't go and get Hot Water Comedy Club to give them £1 billion in sponsorship. Because the first thing somebody would say is, 1, do they have £1 billion? And 2, how do they think that that's value? How do they think that being attached to Liverpool will be worth that much money? It isn't. It wouldn't be. And that's what this is all about. You shouldn't be allowed to just make up sums of money and have sponsors pay what you want them to pay. There should be fair market value, because that's what the whole fit and proper persons test is for. That's why when Manchester City were taken over and then Newcastle were taken over, the rules were changed, because football landscape was changing and not for the better. So rules and safeguards were put in place. Everybody signed up to agree to these. If Manchester City voted against them, tough shit. You signed up to a league that has in its charter that any change needs to be ratified by 14 of the 20 clubs. It was ratified, you lost, deal with it. That's my take. The tyranny of the majority. Let me say that again. The tyranny of the majority is what most of us call a democratic process. You go and vote in an election. If your candidate doesn't win the election, tough shit. If your candidate does win the election, good news for you. But you don't get to cry arse about it, unless you're one particular former president, but that's another story. George, how are you, mate? Said, hi Craig, I think Man City should get relegated to the National League. It's a bad example for English football. Love the channel and thank you. Well, thank you, George, firstly for your support, mate, for all that time. It's not for me to say what the punishment should be, because it's not my job. But what I will say is, whatever the harshest possible punishment is, I would like. Because they've no way helped the Premier League with this investigation. They've not been transparent with information, in my opinion. And one thing that gets to me is a lot of people seem to keep saying, but Everton and Forest and these other clubs were hit with penalties. They were. But they also were far simpler processes. And both those clubs helped the Premier League with their investigation, supplied the paperwork and documentation. So it was easier to adjudicate. With Manchester City here, you're going back 8, 9, 10 years. Very complex things. You have to unearth stuff that isn't being given to you. You've got to find information that isn't freely coming forward. So I get that it's a complex one, but it is dragging on now. And I don't like the fact that it's going to be heard in November. Because as that report said, it gets heard in November and it's a 6-week case. So you're already into December. Let's say December's over. Half the season is over at that point. And Manchester City could well be on their way to win another Premier League title. They could well be on their way to going to they'd probably be in the knockout stages of the Champions League at that point. So what happens if they're found guilty? We're halfway through another campaign. Just the timing of it all just stinks. Oliver Hunt. Craig, I bought a kid's jersey for €97. A kid's jersey with name for €97. That's scandalous, Oliver, isn't it? And look, fair play to you for buying the jersey for your kid or your nephew or whoever it was, or your niece, but wow, £97 is madness, mate, isn't it? It's just greed. But the downside is that Manchester City might have to charge more for their shirts if they're not allowed by whoever they want. Craig, love the channel. My favourite news provider. Thank you, Robert. Really kind of you, bud. Thank you so much. So for those of you who ever wondered what a day looks like for me, I'm going to talk you through a normal day for me. I wake up at about 9 a.m. No, I wake up at about 2:30. I come downstairs. I go through my emails on my phone. I have a glass of cranberry juice, a bit of water, I take my medication, and then I get stuck into reading all the news stories. I spend 4 hours minimum reading and preparing news stories for the late night agenda. Some of them I cover in the earlier video that we recorded about 5 o'clock. But by the time I get here, I've already done about 5 to 6 hours worth of work in a day before the stream starts. Then we do the stream, we finish it, then we communicate about what we think would be good clips, stuff like that. We look ahead to the next day, and then I go for the 10:30 newspaper stories that are coming out for tomorrow's newspapers, and I start my research all over again. That's my life, and that's my day, and I'm so privileged to be able to do it. But that's what a day looks like for me, and it takes a lot to run a channel, and to try and stay on top of things, and to try and make sure that you're the first out with stuff if you can. But I love it. I'm addicted to Liverpool. I'm no problem saying that. I love it, and I love doing all of this. But this is the part of the day I look forward to the most. When I'm on here with you guys talking, I love it. 2:30, yeah. I've always had weird sleep patterns. I've always been a nighttime person. You know, I used to work for a poker company, an online poker company, and I did the 11 p.m. to 8 a.m. shift. I used to drive a taxi. Again, I did the nighttime shifts. I like nighttime for a couple of reasons. It's the quietest time in my house because everyone's in bed, and it allows me more time to work and focus and not be distracted. And I've always just slept weirdly. So I'll go to sleep at about 7 a.m. and I'll get up at about 2:30 just before my son comes home from school. So I'll make sure I'm up when he pops in home. That's a normal day for me. But yeah, my wife's used to it. My family are used to it. I just keep really late hours. Are we expecting to have any pre-season games before the America tour? Doubt it. You might have some after it, but I'd say Arne Slot will want to be in camp with the lads for as long as he can beforehand. And then, of course, over to America for the 3 games against Arsenal, United and Real Betis. Where is Slot and where can I see his first day? We don't know, bro. He's in Liverpool working, but we don't know when we're going to see any content around Slot. My favourite part of the day is eating. I didn't tell you about the end of my day after I finish these streams and stuff. I have my dinner at about 10 o'clock. Well, about 10:30. When I finish this stream, I'll eat my dinner. And then I will get into what I like to call Craig's relaxing couple of hours, where I unwind. How do I say this? Herbally. And then I watch TV for a couple of hours, and then I get up and we go all over again. I did overnights at CUNY TV station. I totally get it. Yeah, I like it. I like the quietness and peacefulness of night. It's so much more quiet at night. It is. And I'm an only child, so I grew up used to being on my own. But, you know, I've got kids now, and my wife and a dog, and it's always hustle and bustle in the house. And obviously I don't have an office or anything to work from. For those of you who aren't aware, I stream from the corner of my living room. So when I'm working, doing this, nobody else is in the living room. So they're either in the kitchen or upstairs. So I'm hoping in the next year to save up about €57,000 to invest to build an office in my back garden so I can finally have a space to work in. Because I've been working out of the corner of my living room for years, and my wife's been very gracious about it, but I want to work. I want to have a door that I can close and separate between where I work and where I don't work. Is there something in how Pep's brother is a majority owner in Girona, a City Group team? So, I don't know the full makeup of Girona, or I know Pep's brother apparently has quite a big influence there, but I'd be lying to you if I said I knew the makeup of Girona exactly. I know it's under the City Football Group banner, but after that, mate, I truly don't know. Maybe somebody else in the chat will have more info on that one. What's this? Derby County are long-term admirers of Bobby Clark, and the Rams may view the Premier League loan market as an avenue towards strengthening their squad this summer. I'm not surprised. If I was a championship club, I'd be looking at Bobby Clark as well. Bobby Clark's top-notch. And thank you to George for sending this in to Mark, by the way, who passed it on to me. So thank you, George. But yeah, Bobby Clark's top-notch. I mean, I think he's pretty close to being constantly in and around the first team squad. and getting minutes. So one more season loan maximum. But Bobby Clark's legit for me. He's the real deal, and I fully expect him to be in the Liverpool first team squad for years to come. Your wife seems very understanding. She is, but we're also trying to chase a dream, Finty. You know? I started the channel with Connor 6 years ago with a dream of buying my family a house. That was the dream from day one, and I've never hidden it. I've always been open about it. And we're closing in on being able to do that. So I've almost saved up my deposit, and we probably need 1 more year of published accounts as a business before I can apply for the mortgage. We have the paperwork to buy a house from the council, and I'm hoping that within 12 months I will have achieved that dream of buying my family a home. Not a gloriously expensive one, a council house that we live in, but that's been my dream, and that's what I've been working towards. So we're getting close to it, and I get quite emotional when I think about it, to be honest with you, because it's been a long 6 years to get to this point, and I never knew if we would get to the point. So yeah, that's going to be an emotional day when we sign those papers and become homeowners. That's going to be I'm going to be proud of myself that day. Just seen Liverpool have been monitoring Eintracht Frankfurt defender William Pacho. Yes, that is true. We've spoken about that again many times on the stream. I don't know much about him, but certainly we've been linked to Pacho for quite a while. And people who have watched more of him than me say that he's a really good centre back. You know, I'm not going to say I've watched much of Eintracht Frankfurt. How's the new car? It's really good. It's lovely, mate. Yeah, I don't go out much, so my wife drives it most of the time, but it's lovely, thank you. And that was another first, you know, getting to buy the first new family car this year. Well, actually it was last year, it was September, was another amazing thing. The studio is one that is my own, if I'll be honest, that's my own greedy little thing. To be able to get the studio done, because that'll be amazing to have my own space, and the technology that I want to put in for the streams and stuff would be great as well. But look, we've got 20 minutes to go, so questions, anything you want to talk about for the last 20 minutes, put it into the chat and we'll discuss it. And also, if you haven't hit the subscribe button, please do. If you haven't hit the like button, please do. And if you haven't bought your tickets for these last 2 Anfield Agenda live shows, you can get your tickets via the link pinned to the top of the chat. And that link, by the way, at the top of the chat also gives you a link to all of our social media as well. That's our link tree. So that will give you the live shows and the socials. So remember, €15 or £15 for a ticket. Last shows, all ages events. And you can get your tickets with those links, or there's a link in the description. Now over to you guys for the last 20 minutes. Happy for you, bro. You're an honest man. Thank you. Appreciate that. You know, you don't know how much the words "you're an honest man" mean to me, because I don't have anything in this world other than my word and my reputation, and it means a lot to me. So thank you for that. Do I prefer manual or automatic cars? So this is the first ever automatic we've owned. I've driven them previously on holidays and stuff. I can see the appeal of both. You get very lazy driving an automatic, and you get used to being lazy. So probably I prefer the automatic, in all honesty, but I'm glad I learned to drive a manual. I love your content and how much you open up. Keep it up, said Jacob. Thank you. How do I say it? Like, I understand other people have their privacy and they respect their privacy and they want to keep things to themselves. That's fine. But if I'm in here trying to get people to speak about mental health, or, you know, speak up on things, I feel like a bit of transparency from my side is important as well, because you guys not only buy into the channel, you're buying into my journey through life, and you've been there with me on that journey. So all these little milestones I like to share. Who do you want us to sign? Ederson from Atalanta for the midfield position. Centre back, Antonio Silva would be my preference from Benfica, but I also like Mark A from Crystal Palace. Who else do I think at centre-back? Loads of people have said Pacho, but honestly, I don't know much about him. In an attacking position, Elise would probably be top on my list. I like Nico Williams from Bilbao. Eze is obviously another interesting one from an attacking midfield forward position. Federico Chiesa for £20 million very much does interest me. But it's hard to answer these questions without knowing if we're losing somebody. Like, do we end up having to sell Diaz, as an example? Do we need to replace him? Rodrigo from Real would be a dream. It's the second goalkeeper that's confusing me a little bit. 50k for a new outbuilding for a dedicated studio was about right. Oh, I know. I've planned it out, mate. I've had quotes. And that's before you look into the tech side of it. That's just because my back garden is levels. So it's 3 different levels. The top level is where we'd put the studio. And the concrete alone would cost about $9,500. So yeah, it is. And then you put the new outside office in it and wire it up and connect it to the broadband and all the other stuff. Yeah, 50 grand is probably before we even start kitting it out with like technology. Somebody said, what car did I buy? We bought a Renault Arcana E-Tech engineered. So it's the top spec one with blacked out badge. It's got diamond cut alloys. It's got leather seats. It's really cool. Have I actually watched the show Ted Lasso? I tried to, but I couldn't get into it. My wife watched it and liked it, and many other people have watched it and liked it. But here's my problem with a lot of modern comedies. They're too politically correct. I like comedies with a bit of edge. I like hearing things the way they're spoken in real life. And I think comedy has become a little bit too safe these days. So for me, Ted Lasso was a thumbs down, but many other people liked it. Craig, I don't really think we need new midfielders, especially defensive mid, because I think Endo can do the job. Endo's great, and keeping Endo around is absolutely worth a punt. But he can't play every single game, and I still think we can improve on Endo's position. So I'm all for keeping Endo around. I'm also interested to see how Bajcetic's development goes, but I do think we need that Declan Rice, that Rodri, that absolute stone cold assassin defensive midfielder. Ground screws are the way to go. Again, I can't do it because I need to balance out, because it's complicated. But trust me, my family I come from a building family. If I was getting my pants pulled down on the prices, they would have told me. But it's a complicated enough build for the office. Craig, Leo's goals and John Nellis both got tickets to play a match at Anfield. Why don't you get some? I don't know. I can't answer that question. Delighted for the lads to get tickets, but I've no idea, mate. I've said this to you before. We as a channel don't get any any invites to go to Anfield or anything like that. We don't get. I've never been asked to the charity stuff. I don't know. I can't answer the question, but all I'll say is I'm delighted for the people that did get to go. Fair play to them. But, we never get any of these opportunities for whatever reason. I don't know. But that's just the way it is. Electric or fuel car? Hybrid. Hybrid, mate. And not a plug-in hybrid. A self-generating hybrid. So one thing I would say though about those two there, John Nellis and Leo's goals, is both those channels would be more shorts based and do great numbers. And I don't know John Nellis as a person, but I know of him. And genuinely delighted that the lads got to play at Anfield. Goldbridge played at Anfield as well, but the club ignore us. The club never, ever, ever interact with Anfield Agenda. I read you guys out the letter we wrote to the club, and we haven't got a response. And if you haven't heard the letter, it's a genuinely honest, heartfelt olive branch towards the club to just try and inquire as to, I don't know, hang on, I'll read you the letter. And if, we haven't got an answer from it. So what can I think other than the club intentionally just don't want anything to do with us? And I'd like to know why, if that's the case, because I feel like we tried to do things the right way and that we're good people. I'm finding this letter here for you now. I'll read it out to you again. Right, here we go. You ready? So, let me know what you think of this letter that we reached out to the club with. Dear Liverpool Football Club, my name is Conor Crosby and I'm writing to you from Anfield Agenda, one of the largest independent Liverpool FC platforms globally. With a massive worldwide audience of dedicated Liverpool fans, we feel it is important to address a concern that we have. Despite our significant reach and positive impact on the Liverpool fan base, we have consistently been overlooked for media engagements, such as the recent Jurgen Klopp interviews, new kits being launched for review before launches, interviews with players, and many more. We have also found our attempts at communication largely ignored, with a recent request for entry to the Jurgen Klopp event at the M&S Bank Arena overlooked without response. This persistent disregard has left not only our team, but also our audience feeling a little bit disenfranchised from the club that we hold dear. Our host Craig has shared his personal journey on our platform, including his challenging upbringing, and has persistently encouraged others to open up about their mental health struggles. His story has resonated with many fans, fostering a sense of community and support that is invaluable. In addition to our media efforts, we've also supported numerous LFC community charities. We frequently supported food banks in Liverpool City, provided football shirts to fans who otherwise couldn't afford them, promoted GoFundMe campaigns for Liverpool fans in need, and much more. These initiatives are extremely important to us and have always underscored our commitment to adding positivity to the Liverpool FC fan community. We're reaching out not out of anger, but from a place of disappointment and genuine concern. We believe that greater engagement with Anfield Agenda could further unite and uplift the Liverpool FC community, offering a platform where the club can connect directly with its passionate and diverse fan base. We kindly ask for a reconsideration of our role within the Liverpool FC media landscape. We are eager to collaborate and contribute positively, ensuring that all Liverpool fans feel heard and valued. Thank you for taking the time to read this email. We look forward to your response and hope for a more inclusive and collaborative relationship with Liverpool moving forward. Best regards, Conor. That's the letter we sent to the club, and we've had no response. We asked, could we even get the chance to buy tickets to go and say goodbye to Jurgen Klopp? We got no response. We didn't get invited to whatever that event was at Anfield to play on the pitch. We get blanked. I don't know what else we can do other than take it as a sign that the club doesn't want nothing to do with us. And I can't change that. Nor do I ever want to stop other people from getting opportunities. I am delighted for the likes of Leo's goals and John Nellis and everybody else that got to play at Anfield. Brilliant. I want everyone to achieve and get their dreams. But it hurts. It does hurt when honestly we try to be a community-based channel that cares about our audience and tries to do things in the right way. I don't have any idea why the club won't engage with us, but we can't do anything else, you know. We've tried our best. So it's difficult because you love this football club. I love this football club. And when the thing that you love so much doesn't even acknowledge your existence, it stings. But it is what it is. I can't change anything. All I can keep doing is coming on every night at 8:30, doing our shows, doing the watchalongs, and looking after my audience and engaging and having fun with you guys. You know, that's it. But I'd be a liar if I said it doesn't sting when I see all these other people doing all these cool stuff. We're the most watched Liverpool fan channel in the world. And I don't say that lightly. We are the most watched Liverpool fan channel in the world. And we don't get engaged with at all by the club. I don't know what to say, you know. It doesn't feel very much you'll never walk alone-ish. But I also understand that maybe they feel I'm a bit too outspoken. But communicate that to us. Well, I won't change it because that's who I am. But I don't feel like being blanked isn't great. I love that the Anfield Rap, Redmen TV, and other people get these chances to interview Klopp because that's their dream. They're also lifelong Liverpool fans, and when I see Paul Machin interviewing Klopp or Neil Atkinson doing an interview, I'm delighted for them because they will have, like me, dreamt of growing up and being able to do those type of things. So I don't begrudge any of them, any of it. They're all hard-working, good people. Yeah, I don't know. It just stings. It really does just sting. They're afraid of you hitting a banger better than Thiago's goal. I don't know. I try not to think about it too much because it genuinely does get a bit frustrating. I don't know what else we can do, but do you know what I'm most happy about though? You guys are here, and nobody can change that. You guys come in every night and enjoy the streams and have fun with me, and we talk football, and we do our live shows, and you guys come to them, and that I'm eternally grateful for. So I've more to be happy about than unhappy about, but at least I know that we've tried. You know, we've reached out to the club and tried our best. What about writing to a player, Michael Edwards, etc.? So we did ask for an interview with a player towards the latter part of the season. We did get a response on that one, to be fair. It was a no, but it was a respectful no, to be fair. But other than that, any requests that we've had have been largely ignored. Makes me sad that you don't get to go. I'd love to see you play football. I wouldn't play, I'd manage, but I'd like to be in and around it. I don't know. I don't know what to say about it, you know. It's you sound bitter because you don't want anybody else not to have these opportunities because it's their dreams as well, and I love seeing people achieve their dreams, but I don't know. Was it Conor Bradley? No, it wasn't. It was actually Virgil van Dijk was the interview that we requested because we'd seen the guys, what were they called again? Oh, excuse me while I try and remember their name. Was it like Men in Blazers? I think it was Men in Blazers. They did an interview with Virgil van Dijk and I thought it was a really good interview. And I just thought, oh, well, maybe the club are doing interviews. Maybe we'll reach out. And we did, and we got a no. To be honest, Craig, I'd love to see you managing charity matches and stuff. I've said it before. Like how many football content creators have been on the Happy Hour podcast? We haven't. We've never been invited on, and I love the podcast. Everything that you see other people of our level doing, we don't get acknowledged or asked to, and you have to. You look in the mirror and go, "What is it about me? Like, what am I doing that is so unlikable?" And you just, you know, for somebody who's already not confident, that just knocks you back even more. But I'm not going to talk about it anymore because it does kind of get to me that, you know, it's not a level playing field. Have I been invited to any other events? No. The football club have never interacted with us in any way. We've never been invited to a charity game. We've never been invited to... For instance, we've seen people do watch-alongs inside studios in Anfield. And I'm not going to name who they are because it's kind of irrelevant. But we've seen people via the club and Nike inside the stadium doing watch-along in Anfield who's mocked Hillsborough. So that sound, they're in the stadium at Anfield doing watch-alongs, having mocked Hillsborough. But we get ignored. It doesn't make any sense to me. Do you think it's because of the non-Scouse aspect? Well, with all due respect, the likes of Leo's goals isn't from Liverpool. And many others haven't been from Liverpool. So I can't say if it's because of the non-Scouse thing. I don't think so. Yeah, I mean, I'd never say that about the club or anything like that. I just don't know. That's why no answer is frustrating, because let's say you wanted a job and you went for an interview and you didn't get the job, but you wanted to know why you didn't get the job or what you did wrong or how you could improve. Not being told is frustrating, because how can you correct a relationship if you don't know what you're doing wrong, or at least what somebody else doesn't like about what you're doing? But you have an army, and I'm so grateful for that army, mate. And my hope is that we get big enough that we can't be ignored forever. But, you know, I want to just say one more thing. I want to make it really clear again. I don't begrudge anyone. All of these guys that do it, and especially the people that are doing it for charity, that give up their time, like the Sidemen and all these other guys that do charity stuff for great causes and get to play at Anfield or Goodison or anywhere else. I'm so happy for them all, because it's a beautiful thing. They're giving up their time, they're helping others, and they're getting to do some really cool stuff. And I wish them nothing but love with that. It just does feel a little bit like, what have we done wrong? Brian, how are you, dude? And thank you for a tremendously generous super chat to finish up. Sorry, just started watching and heard City's tyranny of the majority comment. No surprise coming from an authoritarian nation. No punishment is too harsh, in my opinion. Cheers, AA. Thank you, Brian, for your incredibly generous super chat, mate. And for your friendship, as always. Right, I'm going to go, because I'm not going to lie, this last little bit of the stream has kind of gotten to me a little bit. So the more I think about it, the more sad I kind of feel about it all. But I'll be back tomorrow, and hopefully we'll have more news to go through and plenty of fun to be had. So just a little reminder again, Cardiff, Liverpool, if you want to come and see us, I'd get your tickets before they're gone, and everybody's available to come. It's 15 quid and it's an all ages event, both of them. Tickets, link at the top of the chat or in the description of any of our videos. Thank you to everyone that joined us in tonight. If you want to help out on social media and make sure that we get noticed, feel free to do that as well. But either way, thank you for your time tonight. I hope you all have a lovely evening, and I'll see you tomorrow.